So, glide baits. You guys know more about these, being West Coast guys originally, except for on the West Coast, they're a whole lot bigger. So when I started going out 10 or 12 years ago on the West Coast, buying some of those custom-made glide baits, I thought that was the coolest deal, especially for big fish. You're talking about targeting a big fish bite. But then when I brought them back east, I remember the first time years ago, I brought a big 14-inch glide bait back, and I went out on Guntersville, and I probably saw a 45-pound bag that day. The problem is I caught one of them. That big giant glide bait is too much for our fish on this side. Not always, but most of the time. So I started playing with the size. This particular glide bait is not too big for an eastern bass. It's not too big for a spotted bass. Coming in at about 6.5 inches, but it acts like and swims like the big glide baits. Now there's some smaller glide baits made, but they swim different. They don't really have the true go out to one side, kick, come back slowly, kick. This is a small glide that acts like those bigger West Coast glide baits, and plus they eat it. At the end of the day, as a tournament angler, you can play with it all you want, but they either eat it or they don't eat it. So you keep messing with it till you find one they'll eat. But we've got this in some really cool colors. This one is a very natural shad pattern. This is probably my favorite. We have this in several of our baits. It's called yellow bone. Basically, it's bone colored, and it's got kind of a chartreuse or yellow stripe in it. I call it yellow bone. It's one of my favorite top waters, and it's becoming one of my favorites in this glide bait. We also have this in the BD shad, which is a 3-jointed bait we'll talk about here in a minute. But that's what this is about, man. It's an East Coast glide.
Really cool looking swim bait. I know, Joe, you've got a lot of experience throwing the glides. You're a big glider.
Yeah. I mean, I do love. We all love throwing the glide baits, but just as Boyd said, you can look at them all you want. The big fish get a great look at the glide baits, but especially on tournament day, it doesn't matter if you see them. You got to put them in the boat, and it looks like they got some beautiful finishes to trick those big fish.